Who's the black private dick that's a sex machine to all the chicks? You're damn right.
Welcome. It is Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I am the host, Jarome Bell, the Radical Republican Live Show. And welcome to everyone tuning in tonight. Look like we may be having a little trouble over there on Getter. I don't see the show over on Getter. I don't see it live anyway. So help me out if you're over on Getter. If you have my private number, shoot me a text. Let me know that we are live up on Getter because I can't see it. And I don't have time to fix it. But welcome. I hope y'all had a great week. A lot going on in this nation, outside of this nation. A lot going on with that Israel country and our country. And we're going to talk about that a little bit tonight. It's a little bit concerning to me, being a military vet in all of this country. So thank you all for tuning in. I see you over there, 9/11 nukes, because she kicked off Cezanne. I know, man. We're going to talk about that too. And hopefully tonight, we're going to be able to take some phone calls. We try to work it out in the second hour. We're going to try to take some phone calls in the second hour once again tonight. But thank you, Susan, Carolyn, Jackie, 9/11 nukes. You know who that is. That is Mr. Olsen himself. It's pretty strange because I don't see, it doesn't even show that we're live on Getter right now. So I don't know if there's a connection issue going on between Rumble and Getter or what. But hopefully, you guys just come on over on Rumble. We are on my channel, Jarome Bell, of course, and also we are on the FFN Freedom First Network. Debuted on there again last week. Thank you to Jeff Dornick, and we're gonna get started. So I guess my theme for tonight is the same playbook, different zip code. Different zip code. We got three. I have three stories tonight. Before I have my guest, I do have a guest tonight. Going to pop in about 8:30. Mr. Frankie Stocks from the Stu Peters Network and the Based Report, and my friend who covered my entire campaign will be back in the Lion's Den tonight. We'll be chatting it up. But we got three stories with one through line. The billionaire class using government as the enforcement arm of their greed. And it doesn't matter what zip code, doesn't matter what country. We can talk about Washington, D.C., Tirana, Albania, or Loudoun County, Virginia. The playbook seems to be identical. We can talk about down there in Georgia. The playbook seems to be identical. Use government to seize what belongs to people and hand it to the powerful, to the billionaires. The only difference is the zip code or the country code. So we're going to definitely talk about that, hit on that tonight. But one of the big things I want to hit on first, before we bring in Frankie, is this NDAA section 224. Some of you may not even have heard about it. Some of you may wonder what it is, but Section 224 of the fiscal year 2027 NDAA. And to be on record, I was against the NDAA and the Patriot Act and all of that in the beginning. Because I saw what was coming with it. I foresaw the tyranny that was going to come with it, right? Especially when you can't trust the people that you've elected to represent you, to represent your values, to represent your political aspirations, I guess, your thoughts on how this country should be run. We have the United States Israel Defense Technology Corporation Initiative is what it is. Introduced May 26, 2026. House Armed Services Committee passed it 44-12 on June 4th. And you have to wonder, okay, why 44-12? Okay, because see, here's one of the things that if I had been elected to Congress, I would probably have AIPAC and Donald Trump coming at me right now, spending billions of dollars to try to get me back out of Congress. But there's a problem in Congress with dual citizenship. And this major dual citizenship has to be with this country that they are trying to attach to our military. The Senate Armed Services markup is Wednesday, June 10th on this. This is huge. So Section 224 would require, and you have to understand who wrote Section 224. It was Benjamin, I would say Milikowski, because that's his real name. Some of you say Netanyahu, and I would say it was even BB 2.0 who actually wrote it. He bragged about it, writing it. So whoever this BB guy is, it would require the Pentagon, and you guys have to grasp this, as a sovereign nation, as a sovereign country that fought a war for our freedom. And Article 2 in the Constitution distinctly states that it takes 2/3 of a Congress to bind together any other country with the United States. But the Pentagon, it would require the Pentagon to designate an executive agent to permanently coordinate and expand U.S. Israel defense technology cooperation. And it's embedded, deeply embedded into the annual must pass defense bill, must be passed, right? And it's deeply embedded in there. Representative Rokana, Democrat, he introduced an amendment to strike it, to get it out of there. And it was defeated by a voice vote, not even a paper vote, not even a roll call vote, by voice, defeated by a voice vote. So only Rokana and Representative Sarah Jacobs voted to remove it on that side, on the Democrat side. Republican Thomas Massey, who just was, his seat was just paid for, bought and paid for by Donald Trump and AIPAC, Israel, because he just, his re-election, his primary was stolen from him, I'd say that. He has pledged a floor amendment when the NDAA goes to full House vote. His words, "We are a sovereign country." Absolutely right. Absolutely right. And this is the man who's been fighting for America first more than anyone in Congress. And this is the man that your president, our president, still my president, because I respect the office, railroaded to be put out of Congress because he was not a yes man, because he was actually and is actually America first. And he was protecting American citizens from, dare I say, bullshit like this. And for those that don't know, we're always uncensored, unfiltered, unedited, unscripted, and always unapologetic here on the Radical Republican Show. The Arab Center DC analysis, Section 224, says that it would shelter the relationship from the vagaries of regular congressional votes on military aid and would make it almost impossible to uproot. So this is because, you know, there's a big thing, right, about giving foreign aid to Israel, $3.8 billion a year to Israel. People are pissed off about that. This now, you saw Bibi Netanyahu and some of these others. Oh yeah, well, we're going to do away with that. We don't need the 3.8 million. Well, this is why, because they're trying to put it in the NDAA. They're trying to put it in the annual NDAA so they can just get money from U.S. taxpayers, like, without saying, hey, it's foreign aid. It's like going to the military, our military that we pay for. The United States citizens, tax-paying citizens, are paying for this. Are you mad yet? Are you pissed off yet? So Netanyahu is pushing to transform U.S. aid to Israel from direct assistance into military cooperation, because cooperation does not require a vote, because they know the Israel sentiment is getting bad. They know people are totally against this. They're totally, so now they're trying to make sure that we don't even have a vote. We don't even have a vote about it. AIPAC and the Republican Jewish coalition, and people always talk about Republican Democrat. I told you I am no longer a Republican. I call it the Radical Republican Live Show for a reason still, if you understand who the Radical Republicans were, but I'm definitely independent, American only, America only, truly America first, independent. AIPAC and the Republican Jewish coalition are publicly celebrating its passage. Because they know they have all of our congressmen bought and paid for. They own them. Every single last one of these traitors, and yes, they are traitors to the United States, to their Constitution, to their oath to defend the country and the Constitution against foreign enemies, all enemies, foreign and domestic. All of them have to go. All of them have to be voted out, or we need to go Albania. If you don't know, check out what's going on in Albania. We might cover that a little bit. But Public Citizen reports 14 Trump ballroom donors, because Trump's a whore. Let's just admit it, man. I have to admit it. I mean, it's one thing, right, to be fooled once, but it's another thing to be fooled twice, right? Shame on you if you get fooled another time. I'm not going to get fooled twice. So 14 Trump ballroom donors have received over, listen to this, the donors. So this is definitely pay for play. This is definitely pay for play. Didn't we like jump on Biden and Hillary Clinton and all these Democrats for pay for play? But you MAGA cult members, you people that don't seem to see what's going on right in front of your face, to be able to admit that, hey, I made a mistake and I'm jumping off the train. I got on the wrong train. I'm jumping off. You guys are so afraid to admit that. How about this? Are you signing off on this? 14 Trump ballroom donors have received over $50 billion in government contracts in the last 6 months. How about that? You guys signing off on that? Senate Armed Services Committee marks it up on Wednesday, June 10th. This story is live and it's not going away. People are pissed, and we need to talk about it. We really, really need to talk about it, because Section 224 is not a military aid bill. It's permanent. It's a permanent merger with a foreign government. And there's the thing, didn't the CIA, FBI, national security people just up our security because of the spying of Israel against on our high-level representatives, including President Trump? Did we just up our level on them, our security level, warning on them? And these people want to make a permanent merger with the same people that killed USS Liberty, people on the USS Liberty, sailors on the USS Liberty, and that goes, and that anniversary is tomorrow. These are the same people that stole our nuclear program, so they have this. These are the same people. They haven't changed. The only thing is we have traitors sitting in our houses of government. We need to do away with the dual citizenship in any federal, state, government office in America. So they are fusing the American military, your military, my military, our military, to the Israeli military apparatus. This is serious. This is serious. And it's not just for 2 years, not for 5 years. This is permanent. This will be permanently. And it's buried inside the must-pass defense bill that Congress has to vote on every single year. And they did it quietly. No debate. No press conference. You know how they love press conferences when the Democrats did something wrong, or the Republicans, they're all out in front of the cameras. None of them motherfuckers were out in front of the cameras this time. No town halls. They tucked it into page after page of $1 trillion defense authorization and hoped nobody would notice. But we did notice. Thomas Massey noticed. Rokana noticed. And tonight, now, you noticed. You know now. Well, see, here's the question. Here's the question. I haven't seen this question. Nobody in the mainstream conservative media will ask. None of them. They're all bought and paid for. They are all weak cucks. And nobody will ask this. And you're supposed to be conservative, right? I'm an independent conservative. Yeah, Talk to where are you? If and nobody will ask this question, if this is good for America, if this is truly in the national interest, why does it need to be hidden in a must-pass bill? Why does it need to be shielded from future votes? Why does it need to be made impossible to undo it? Why can't it have a sunset? Okay, if you wanted to try it, hey, why not a sunset clause, right? See, the answer is because this is not for America. This is not for Americans. This is not America first. This is for the people who fund the campaigns of the people who wrote it. This is the same playbook, different zip code. It's for the people who fund the campaigns of the people who wrote it. And if you're not upset, if you're not pissed off, if you're not angry and want to just go and choke your representative, I don't know what to tell you. I just don't know what to tell you. I know I'm angry. I know I'm pissed off. So too, we got Kushner in Albania here. We got Jared Kushner's firm, Affinity Partners, is developing a $4 billion. Oh, this was by the sneak too. Oh, and they what did it off of the Rothschild's boat. Ivanka said, "Oh, we were on our friend's boat." It was a Rothschild's boat. Guess who they're friends with? $4 billion luxury resort on Albania's Sazan Island and the protected coastal area of Vosa Narta. I guess that's how you pronounce it. Josa Narta, Viosa Narta. It's a wetland, home to flamingos, seals, and sea turtle nesting sites. These people just want to destroy. They want everything for themselves. They want to destroy everything and have everything for themselves. And Albania's government granted Kushner strategic investor status. This guy's taking Epstein's place. He's the new Epstein. He's the new, negotiator for everything, right? He negotiates on behalf of the Americans with Iran. He goes to Saudi Arabia, gets billions of dollars from Saudi Arabia. So Albania's government granted him strategic investor status, which expedites permits and access to state land. But you know what? The people in Albania, they ain't having it. They're not having it. They are pissed off. And they're running the people of Israel up out of there. They are literally chasing them out of Albania. So protests began May 30th, and I'm going to get through this and see if Frankie's in the back room there. Protests began May 30th, 2026, after developers erected barbed wire fences blocking public access to the beach. People were going to the beach. Thousands have since taken to the streets of Tirana for multiple consecutive nights. Protest signs: Albania is not for sale. I don't want Albania like Dubai. Ivanka, go home. Ivanka Trump, go home. Where Ivanka Kushner, go home. So Ivanka she was in an interview this week, and she spilled the beans. I think she, let the cat out of the bag a little bit when she described how she and Kushner discovered the island. We were on a friend's boat, on the Rothschild's boat, and we stopped for a swim. We swam to the island. We were just captivated. Total bullshit. Total bullshit. Albania's special anti-corruption prosecutors are at least some of these other countries actually hold people accountable. The United States have not and will not hold anybody accountable for anything that they've done wrong. That's an elite. That's an elite, right? An elite. So Albanian Special Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office, SPAK, has opened a formal investigation into the funds used to acquire the lands, and they have frozen those accounts. 40 plus environmental organizations from 28 countries wrote to Albanian Prime Minister Edi Rama in January, calling for the immediate suspension of the project. Kushner's firm previously purchased a tower in Belgrade, Serbia for luxury hotel. Protests halted that project too. That's right. Just go out. Every place these people go, protests, do not let them build. Every place they go. Go shut the shit. Shut it down. Shut it down. Michael Dell, he sits on Trump's Council of Advisors on Science and Technology. Kushner is, of course, the president's son-in-law, right? You know, Michael Dell just got the, $6.9 billion contract, defense for computers, right? $50 billion in government contracts to 14 ballroom donors. What is that? The donor to contract to land pipeline. It's not a coincidence, y'all. It's their business model. It's their business model. It's not a coincidence. People talked about Biden and Hunter using the presidency to enrich Biden and the Biden family. Well, what about Trump? What is he doing? I think he's doing it tenfold, 10 times worse than Biden did. Using the presidency to enrich his friends and his family. What do you call that? What do you call that? The Albanian people are in the streets right now, tonight, again, holding signs. Of course, they're saying Albania is not for sale. It's not going to happen here, right? They were captivated. We went for a swim. But I'm glad the people of Albania, I'm with the people of Albania. I'm glad they stood up. They're anti-corruption prosecutors. I'm glad they opened an investigation. I'm glad the Serbians pushed back in Belgrade. We need to start pushing back here in the United States on these data centers. You know, so now tell me, so what's the difference? What's the difference before I get to Frankie? What is the difference between what Kushner is doing in Albania and what big tech is doing in Virginia? In both cases, people that live in Virginia listen to the show. In both cases, connected people use government as the enforcement arm to take land that belongs to someone else. This is just only a difference in zip code and country code, right? This is called what, eminent domain here, right? This is what they're doing all over the country. All over the country. And we still have no deal in Iran. I'm going to get to that later. We'll check and see if Frankie is in the house. I don't see Frankie yet. But let me check, bro. I'm getting set right now. I have to cut off. Okay, cool. Okay, he just sent me a text. He's coming though. So I got a minute. Ginger Berg is in the house. Welcome. Ginger, you found me. Yay. Glad you was able to kick it in with us. Yeah, so they're just selling us out, man. Our country is just selling us out. And people tell me I have TDS. Well, you guys found out last week, those that were here, I was clinically diagnosed with TDS, not Trump derangement syndrome, but Trump disappointment syndrome by a clinical psychiatrist that was on the show last week. I have it. I have TDS, Trump disappointment syndrome. I introduced that last week. And then, you know, it's so funny. I introduced that last week. And then I saw Thomas Massey use it this week. I saw him use it with Trump. Hey, Mr. President, we have Trump disappointment syndrome. Hey, Thomas, you listens to, I think you're listening to the show, man. I love it. I love it. But yeah, Carolyn, I mean, and Frederick Douglass was right. I mean, guys, I'm not promoting violence or an insurrection or a revolution or anything like that. Let's make it clear, right? But Frederick Douglass was right. There's only three boxes. There's only three boxes. Obviously, the voting box ain't working because they're still in elections, they're mail-in balloting. So the voting box isn't working anymore. And of course, we have all these rogue judges. We have, all these corrupt judges. So the jury box isn't working anymore. There's one left. And if you know anything about Frederick Douglass, you know which one I'm talking about. And this is why one of the reasons Spamberger is trying to take away guns in Virginia, right? Trying to take away guns in Virginia. Hit up Frank. Let me. He has his son, so his son didn't want to go back with his mom, so Frankie is being daddy right now, which is so cool. Which is so cool. Frankie, if you gotta take care of your kid, don't worry about it, brother. Because I've been doing this solo for so long. It's just fun when I bring on some people. If not, we'll open up the phone lines. We'll let Joe get in here and talk. Because I know my man Joe is listening. But yeah, they're selling us out. Th- I mean, because they just bullying everyone, right? I mean, do you guys feel like that we're being bullied? You guys feel like that we're being bullied by the bully in the playground, right? I always fought the bullies though. I did. I did. When the bullies would try to mess with me, we fought. Hey, and the bullies didn't mess with me anymore. This is what needs to happen. I mean, and I think this is what's happening across the world now. People are starting to stand up to the bullies because they're starting to figure out that it's more of us than them. It's more of us than them. And I think they're starting to really figure that out. Are starting to figure that out. So I'm gonna bring in my man here in a second, Mr. Frankie Stocks. When you're ready, you can turn on your camera and your mic. And we're gonna talk about some things going on in Virginia. Everyone, I want to try to welcome Frankie Stocks to the Radical Republicans live show, back in the Lion's Den once again. Frankie from the Stupidest Network. And if you ever watch him, he has the Based Report going hard and strong on the Stupidest Network. Frankie's doing some big stuff. My man, welcome back. Your volume, your volume. I can't hear you. We can't hear you. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. That was okay, I got you. There we go. There we go. Got you in, Frankie. You're good, brother. No, we had you. Whatever happened. Technology. That's all, man. It's total technology. I'm gonna remove you. I'm gonna bring you right back, though. Okay, I just brought you back to the stage here with me. You're not muted on my end. Can you? Nope. 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 Tell you what. Go back out. I'm gonna kick you. Hold on. I'm gonna kick you. Come back in. Okay, he's gonna try to come back in a second. Technology, man, is just lovely, just lovely. So anyway, they are buying out our elected and appointed officials. I mean, we we are being, how do I say, we're being represented by whores and prostitutes. Whores and prostitutes. That's what we're being ran by, represented by, because they're just selling out. They're just selling out. They're all scared. They all seem, well, I won't say all, because the ones that are not scared are being forced out of office, because how can people not see what they did to Thomas Massey? How can you not see that? How can you not see that? How can you not see that Thomas Massey was run by a guy they didn't even debate. They didn't even debate. And to just watch and see the president of the United States do that because he just wants yes men around him. The new DNI, or the acting DNI official, he doesn't even have a security clearance. How can you be the DNI? You have no experience. You have zero experience. No security clearance, yet you're the acting DNI, because it's he Trump wants all yes men. Trump wants all yes men to basically serve him. All right, Frank, I think we got some audio now, at least.
Can you hear me?
I got you, man. Perfect.
Okay, great. Thanks for having me, brother. It's great to be here.
Hey, man, welcome back, man. Welcome back. It's been a minute. I know you've been busy as hell, doing
Yes, sir.
the base report, man, and everybody was like, "When is Frankie coming back?" Everybody loves you here, man. So man, let's just get started. Let's just get in to what we were. I might hear a little echo behind you, but let's just get into these data centers, man. Right? Okay, so these are verified facts here. Okay, Northern. Hold on, I'm gonna turn that down. Northern Virginia data centers consume 25% of Virginia's entire electricity mix in 2025, and that's projected to reach 46% by 2030. I think there's a case out there for an elderly Virginia person named Ida Hutcherson. What's going on out here in Virginia? And she's standing up to big, big business, and the big pros coming in and trying to take her land, right? Property being threatened. Go through the same thing, take the domain, take the project down. Man, just walk us through what's going on.
Hey, Jerome, now I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Now I can hear you. I couldn't hear the last kind of trail you were jumbling up.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So,
Now I've got you.
okay. Yeah. So what I was saying was, we were talking about the project, that's going on in Virginia. We're talking about Ida Hutchison, the lady that's fighting from eminent domain. So just walk us through what's going on in Virginia right now with these data centers, because I know I had seen something on, your base report about what's going on in Culpeper, Virginia.
Yeah. So we've been covering a ton of data centers. I think that, and it's not just data centers. That's like a catch-all term, which is a very useful catch-all term. But there's so much more involved in all of this and spinning off of it, and as far as transferring the power to it and where that power is coming from. And we're looking into all of that as well. Ida Hutchinson, I believe, is in Kentucky, but she's a badass. I've got so much respect for that woman and her entire family, her daughter as well. Who's also, up there in years, because I think this Mrs. Hutchison woman's 86 years old or something like that. And these people think that they're going to come in with their private equity money and bully people off of land that their family has a blood tie to, or that their family has a generational tie in general to. Financial tie, I would look at it as a blood tie. Anyone could look at it as anything they want. A financial tie, a work tie, we just like being here tie. This is these people's land. And these private equity firms and these data center developers developers that are propped up by private equity firms, they come rolling into these small towns and writing infinite checks. And this was all happening back in the day too with natural gas. But the data centers are on such a more massive scale, such a more destructive scale, such a more rapid up in your face scale. And we all know what it's heading towards. And we all know now what this is building the infrastructure for. It's an AI surveillance state. But the whole deal we've covered out of Culpeper. Culpeper's been totally overrun by data centers, by data center developers. That's where I grew up, and I spent a chunk of my adult life there as well. And that's an area that now over 1,000 acres of land are already consumed by data centers or are about to be consumed by data centers. And it's kind of become like a siren song for the rest of rural Virginia, because just based off where it is in proximity to Northern Virginia, and I'll definitely touch on Northern Virginia in 1 second, because I think that's kind of like where we should start because the sheer numbers. But just laying out the framework here, I think the proximity of that area to Northern Virginia has made it the first domino to fall in rural Virginia and the rest of Virginia, whatever you want to call it. And now you're seeing this replicated all over the place. And Ginger, I see Ginger down there in the chat. Amherst County is, I mean, they're being propagandized right now. And that's 100 miles south of Northern Virginia, more than 100 miles south of Northern Virginia. And they're being propagandized now by data center developers who are sending text messages and spam calls and video messages. And like, they look like campaign flyers, but they're coming in the form of picture messages out to residents, telling them of all the supposed benefits that data centers will bring to their community. So the full court press, is on. I think Virginia is a worst case scenario that the rest of the country needs to look at. And just being in Virginia, we're kind of like uniquely positioned to bring this information to people. It's a worst case scenario that the rest of the country needs to look at, because there's already so much data center infrastructure and so many zoning laws that have been created around data centers before people knew what this was all feeding and the scale at which all of this was coming and the destruction this was all going to bring and how many there were actually going to be. Zoning ordinances regarding data centers were being put into place way back in the 90s in Northern Virginia, in the early 2000s and into the 2010s in other parts of Virginia. And so now these data centers are coming in by right. And that's why in Loudoun County, they have already 200 data centers, more than 200 data centers, and more than 100 additional data centers planned by 2030, I believe, is the cutoff date that they believe ground will be broken. And it'll likely be sooner than that. And those are just the ones they've approved up to this point. Obviously, there's a rolling approval process going on here. So they're going to continue approving data centers left and right. But you drive through stretches of Loudoun County now, and it's like miles and miles and miles of data centers or data center infrastructure. What goes into feeding these places adds an entirely new layer of destruction to this. Like when you drive around, especially the Route 29 corridor of Virginia, between Lynchburg and Culpeper, and that's coincidentally, maybe not so coincidentally, an area that a 107-mile transmission line is about to be run through to carry power from a power plant, from a power supply in Lynchburg to Culpeper, to a new substation, to a transmission station, so it can be sent to Northern Virginia to power data centers there. The people that the power lines are going to roll over, they get nothing. The counties that the power lines are going to roll over, they get nothing. It just goes to feed data centers in Northern Virginia. But if you drive 29 between the same counties that are going to be affected by this, you see solar farms popping up all over the place. Solar farms are going arm in arm, hand in hand with where data centers are popping up. And now wind farms, okay? The only on-land wind farm in Virginia is now going to be exclusive. It's actually being built for the sole purpose of exclusively providing power to multiple Google data centers in Botetourt County. And there's a lot of layers of destruction there as well. And that's just a county. They've got Amazon warehouses going in. It's a total invasion. And so I'll kick it back to you in a second, Jarome.
No, go ahead, man. No, you just roll with it, brother, because
I didn't want to filibuster. I just kind of wanted to lay out like what we've been looking at. And I've been doing.
Hey man, it's like I'm watching the base report, man. Hey, it's just like I'm watching the base report. Just roll.
So So it's a lot of new information has come my way the past 5 days. So I'm eager to get a lot of this stuff out here. But I do want to keep it neat as possible. But it's everywhere you look. There's bubbles that are popping up, right? And actually, they call them bubbles. Like I mentioned, the Amazon warehouse in the Roanoke area, which plugs right into all the Google data centers into the wind farm. Well, Amazon is referring to that whole area as their Roanoke bubble, and they call it a rural, super rural area. And so it's a rural area surrounding a decently sized city and metropolitan area. And they can stack warehouses and data centers. It's some elaborate definition that they have for this made up term that doesn't even make sense. Rural, super rural. It's like sounds stupid when you say it, but it's one of these terms that they've assigned as they create their bubble target zones. And Virginia has it's like the worst case scenario should be a case study in what not to do. And then you look out at other states like Georgia and Texas are kind of imminent states, Ohio, imminent states where this whole data center invasion is popping up. But a lot more goes into it than data centers. And I've really been trying to convey that lately on the base report. And I've been trying to showcase the up close and personal destruction of this, like physically driving by these construction sites where they're putting this filth in and filming it and posting it over on X or playing it on the show, being like, hey, look, this is what this actually looks like. Because it's not just when you watch this like in the mainstream or in the corporate media, there's this there seems to be an effort in their coverage of data centers to make this seem like something that's coming and something that's like this is like it's not here yet. And like this is something that we're gonna build up to.
It's still far out. Yeah, it's still
yeah,
far.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's like, no, it's not far out. And it's like it's here and it's been here, and we're now moving into these hyperscale data centers that are thousands of acres, hundreds of acres. I mean, Kevin O'Leary, 2.5 times the size of Manhattan. And it's not just
out by me, out in Utah, out here by me in Idaho.
Yeah. And when they throw those numbers out there, like 2.5 times the size of Manhattan, it's not all going to physically be taken up by data center buildings, but there's such a path of destruction around these things that they have to cordon off, an entire area and have all of this artificially planted greenery all over the place and try to make it look like there's something natural going on, as they've got 1,000,001 things running underground and they've got lines running overhead and they've got drones all over the place. And it's some kind of horror film compound that they've built, some kind of science fiction compound that they've built. And it's just, there it is. It's like the eye of the beast. And there's another one similar size going in Texas, and they're actually naming it after Donald Trump. It's when it's finished, it's going to be called the Donald Trump Intelligence and Information Center or something. I'm going off the top of my head, but something along those lines as far as naming. This is the project that people have probably seen on TikTok a lot. Project, it's a snake. Project Python or something like that. I'm Googling it right.
Yeah, is that no, that's not Project Wansley, but that I think that's a different.
No, it's I'll get the name here. It's on the Texas Panhandle, and they're actually going to name the property after Donald Trump himself. And it's going to be the center of the data collection points. And this is the scariest part, and the part that is the most dangerous about all of this is that this is all directly going in to feed, not just like your cell phones. It's not just feeding Facebook. I mean, this is an AI surveillance state infrastructure and all of this stuff that we see happening around us in the news cycle in real time. Like I'm watching all this come in over the past several days. And it's like we just see this worst case scenario building up as we move into summer. Like there's this whole race war component with the Carmelo Anthony trial in Texas. And I mean, should be a very plain, easy to see verdict here. There shouldn't be any need to stick a media wedge in here, but there's going to be, so that there will be a 2020 rerun. There's the case in South Carolina that they've put on the back burner. There's ICE, the whole ICE component out of New Jersey, multiple issues to fan people out into the streets, to then be able to declare a national emergency, to then be able to start debut and start to say, this is why we need this surveillance state technology. But this is what all of this goes to power. And it's really, it's forming up so quickly into a legitimate nightmare scenario.
Yeah, just like China. I mean, I think being China, basically. The top
Yeah,
surveillance state, and it was, I think it's like Project Matador, I believe is the name of it.
yes, that it's Project
Project
Matador.
Matador. Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah. Yeah, and so I mean, this is all about surveillance. I mean, because when you look at it, you got the flock cameras, you got everything that China already has. They're bringing it to the United States, and the people here are starting to sort of wake up. We're talking about it. So this is the mad rush. This is, like you say, the full court press on it. They have to hurry up and get this shit done before people actually really start going to the streets. And like you said, ICE is ready to go. They got all these detention centers built up and ready to go. So I mean, then once they turn everything into digital currency, they know what the American people are capable of, because we actually had wars over this, right? And they know we still have guns, and a lot of guns. So they need these systems, they need these um projects, and these organizations together when he does call. And I believe it's going to happen. I even seen somebody say, "Oh, I hope he calls martial law and fix the elections." I'm like, you dumbass. That's the worst thing that can ever happen, is for the president to actually call out martial law here in the United States, I think.
Yeah, it's like those people who years ago, and actually you still hear people talk about this, notably Mark Levin, who always talk about how we need a convention of the states. And it's like it's opening our constitution up for Mark
Right.
Levin and Stacey Abrams to come and represent the so-called right and the so-called left and put their two heads together and rewrite the United States Constitution. I mean, that's basically what it ends up being. And then you end up with, on the other hand, from the executive branch, martial law, where no, the president's never going to come in and fix the elections. That's not how this works. No government in history has ever seized power from the people and then given it back in a more orderly and nice fashion so that it actually works. Like that was always like a pipe dream. But
Right.
the surveillance state infrastructure is here, and then Section 224 of the 2027 NDAA effectively merging all of these data centers with Israel. And that's what it does. Like the
Right.
headline has been, we merge the military. But if you read into Section 224, like it goes even further than that. It's like, of
Mhm.
course, it's the military, it's National Defense Authorization Act, but data and AI infrastructure and even directed energy weapons are included in all of this. And so, I mean, it's very obvious at this point what's being built here, and it's being built at the expense of the American people. And whether we like it, like whether we want to or not, and whether they tell us it's taxpayer funded or not. Larry Fink just the other day came out and said we're investing 401ks and savings accounts into the construction of data centers and into the construction of data center infrastructure. Whether you agree with it or not, whether you choose in your account to invest in these types of causes or not, this is where it's all going. And I'm glad that you mentioned they're scared of the American people. They know what the American people are capable of, because they do. And BlackRock and Larry Fink actually himself, but additionally BlackRock board members, they've been in their white papers and even publicly to some extent fretting about the possibility of American citizens rising up against this stuff. They're publicly panicking about what somebody who gets their hand on a $4,000 drone and some fireworks could do to one of these data centers. And it's as far as the hyperscale and the big scale data centers go, it's they're already signing people on now to saying, oh, we're going to bring this into your house. There's actually people that are signing on now to say, I want a data center in my walls. Nvidia says that they have the technology now to put a miniature data center inside of your wall, and they're selling this as the remedy to get rid of hyperscale data centers. So it's like
Wow.
they've presented us with how bad it can be, environmentally. You have to look at it, you have to live around this stuff, it poisons you. And then so they give you this false choice. If this technology actually pans out and would work and would carry the same amount of data that we're not even accessing anyways, it would still lock us in a digital concentration camp. It would just be in our homes. You know, they say they're going to put miniature data centers in your walls, and they're going to put data centers the size of a heat pump outside of your house, and they're going to power your house, and they're going to power your neighbor's house, and you'll be on this little mini grid. It's all this is all just, you know, selling points.
Yeah, it's
We
not
don't
right.
need this much data. Like I love when I see these dudes on Facebook who are like trying to make this argument in the local in like towns that are actively being overrun by data centers, like Culpeper, like I mentioned the place earlier. Uh, People are trying to make the argument, well, don't you like using Facebook? If you don't like data centers, then see your way out of the Facebook comment section.
Right,
Like it,
right.
we are so beyond these things serving social media. Like this is just on its face now, the dystopia.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. I even read a report because Elon Musk is supposed to be going next week, well, this week coming up, going public with SpaceX. His IPO is supposed to pop this week. And the report that I read out of that is that the reason he's doing this is for AI. They think it's because, for NASA, for space exploration, for all of this. But his ultimate goal, from what I understand, is to use SpaceX to launch these, I guess, to put these satellite data centers into space and use and actually run these data centers from space to where they can't be destroyed. They can't be touched, right? He wants to run these from space because it has, I guess, infinite energy, because I guess the satellite rays or the solar rays or whatever will be pointing towards the sun and they'll never get shut down. And then, he talked about the billion or whatever, robots that they're going to have on it. I mean, man, this stuff is like, and people think, that's crazy talk. Elon's crazy. No, but this shit's real, man. I mean, dude, you talk about, Terminator. You talk about the movie Terminator. I mean, they've already named, I think, the first humanoid robot T-800 or some shit. Wasn't it T-900 on Terminator? The
Yeah.
Schwarzenegger. Wasn't it a T-900? I mean, they've already named a robot T-800, man. I'm like, and these people think that we're crazy, that we don't know, what we're talking about. This is dangerous to the human race, period.
Yes, it is. And Melania Trump has brought a humanoid robot out at the White House and had it wave
Yes, I
to everybody and run through a bunch of cute little, ABC 1, 2, 3 type of stuff, and then proceed to tell the world that AI humanoid robots are going to be positioned in every public school
we're
classroom
gonna teach your
across the
kids.
United
Yeah,
States.
and they gave that press cut. Yeah, we need to have these robots teaching our kids. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? What
Yeah.
are you talking about? I mean, really? I mean, they're all in our face. I mean, they're like I say, they're just playing in our faces. They're just playing in our faces, man. And sooner or later, this gate's gonna get shut closed. I'm watching what's going on in Albania with the Kushner Island. Those people are fighting back. They're Serbians, and these are people that's without guns. They don't even have guns. They're out there fighting back. I mean, the American public, like I said, I'm not inciting violence or revolution, because revolution will be televised anyway. But the American people need to wake up in these counties, in these cities, in these locales. We really need to start pushing back. People, well, China's going to be ahead of us. Well, damn China. You know what? Damn, China's already ahead of us anyway. I mean, if you really want to know about it, most countries are ahead of us anyway. All you have to do is go visit another country outside of the United States and look at their infrastructure. It's so much greater than the United States, because we rather send our dollars and our billions to other countries. We rather let other countries, use us as whores, our taxpayer dollars, to uplift their countries, to continue, their military posture and structure, instead of building our infrastructure. I mean, the American people are just getting used and getting bent over, and, with no Vaseline, I say.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. And with the whole China argument, that one is really absurd just on its face. You turn on Fox News or you listen to Sirius XM or Patriot XM, excuse me, on Sirius XM, which I always call the Fox News of call-in radio. And they keep on pushing this talking point. We're in an AI arms race with China. We're in a data center arms race with China. China has like 300 data centers. At the end of the year, they should have around 400.
Right.
It's America already has more than 10 times the number of data centers as China, And then when you move into hyperscale data centers, it even further dwarfs China. So the United States is far and away ahead of everyone as far as data goes and data dominance goes. It's powering a complete and total surveillance web that's not just going to ensnare the United States. This is a global plan. These guys are and they're testing this, for instance, at the World Cup, uniting the United States,
Right.
Canada, and Mexico under the AI powered surveillance web that they've linked all the stadiums under, all of the practice facilities under. They've got World Cup teams scattered throughout the North American continent practicing and staying. They're all assigned their own security teams. Their all security is interlinked through an AI powered system. They've got dogs outside, dogs, fake robot dogs
Oh,
outside
yeah.
the events powered by AI with facial recognition. They're using that alone as a massive opportunity to roll out and interlink surveillance state technology across international borders. Because what this is really powering, it's not just a US domestic surveillance state, it's the dissolution of the United States. I mean, they're not kidding around. And I'm glad you brought up Elon Musk, because he really importantly ties into this. But they're not kidding around when they talk about, seizing Cuba and seizing Venezuela
Right.
or making Canada and Greenland states. Like that's all been, that Tech Native America map, like that's not a standalone type of thing. Or when they say the greater North American influence zone that Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump have mapped out and have on the wall at the Pentagon, like those plans have been in place for over 100 years. Kalergi put a map like that in place, the architect of the Kalergi plan over 100 years ago. But Elon Musk's tie in here, he's the descendant of technocrats. They drew the technocratic map. And when I say, I'm sure everyone knows, it's that infamous map of America, and it's all red,
Right.
and America's merged with Canada and Mexico, and it goes all the way down to Venezuela. And all of the countries that this Trump administration has said we want control of just so happen to line up with the
Like,
technocrats' plan for America and for the world. They're super states and they're super surveillance states. And again, it's not just the technocrats. Kalergi, the Club of Rome, the United Nations, they've put out maps like this. And the interesting thing about Kalergi's map was that it appears that there was some land carved out for Greater Israel, and there was a great big question mark over Iran. And so, I mean, this country is being sucked into to not just we lose the American Republic as we know it type thing, where we're living in the United States of America surveillance state. We're not even in the United States of America anymore. We're in the tech native America, or we're in the North American super state under constant surveillance, and it's all being fed back into a server farm in Greater Israel somewhere. And we're in a very high stakes, and it's kind of playing out as we're on air right now. Like it really is, like really interesting time in history to be on air, because all of that, the entire Greater Israel equation, it rests in this Iran confrontation, which right now is on a big teetering point. Like I'm looking over at the TV, and is this another scripted back and forth where Trump pretends I'm standing up to Benjamin Netanyahu, or are they genuinely scared that they're about to lose control of this country if they don't do something and just say, hey, like we got to stop? I'm actually, not to sound like some kind of delusional, person here, but I'm actually somewhat white-pilled looking at this Iran war news cycle coming out of today, saying like, okay, is there this thought in the back of this government's mind, like the American people are so rapidly getting vocal about, we don't want to get dragged into this war, we want to get the hell out of this thing, like we see you're under Israeli control. Like, are they so scared at this point, even if that fractal margin, that there's the chance of like the people have overwhelmed them? I don't know. I could be totally delusional on that, but it's been in the back of my mind like all evening as I've been watching the coverage on this. It's over on the screen right now. They've just
I
had it
mean,
around the clock.
yeah, because I guess Iran attacked Israel again tonight,
Yeah.
or this morning. I haven't watched any of that today by design. Because I was just prepping for the show, and I just wanted to relax today. So you can fill us in on some more on that. But I'm sort of with you on that, because I mean, even before that, right? I've had shows where it's over 74% of Israelis do not want Benjamin Netanyahu. I honestly think that Benjamin Milikowski is dead. I think he's been dead since March 14th. I think this is a 2.0. guy that's that's filling in his place. Why do I say that? Because he really hadn't been seen in public and he hasn't visited the United States. Because I think if this guy visited the United States, people will see instantly that that is not Benjamin Milikowski Netanyahu. So that's where I stand on that. So, and I think another reason that they're pushing this so fast is because they only can keep him on ice via, Ginsburg for so long before they have to actually say he's dead, right? The cancer thing, he has nothing, he has that. I'm waiting for them to say that this guy, Benjamin Netanyahu, has died of cancer, right? That's what I'm waiting on next, before they have to really present this guy to the public. But the people are waking up. The people are not on board with this war. And I think, they feel this shift, and it's sort of messed up, I guess, to say, being an American, being a vet, right? I'm actually glad that Iran is standing up to the bullies on the block on this. Because if they didn't, there's nothing left in the Middle East to prevent Israel from just taking over the entire area and making that greater Israel. And then, like I said, you talk about a surveillance state, and Israel is not our greatest ally. Israel is not our friend. They've spied on the president. They've tried to spy on the president. They spy and they have most every congressman and woman, compromised. So they're not our friends. So these people, they keep wanting to say things like, well, Israel is our greatest ally. No, we're at some point, if this happens to where Iran loses this battle, or if the Middle East loses this battle and Israel is somehow able to just take over the area, we will at some point have to fight Israel in a war. I believe that wholeheartedly, that we will have to do that. They are not our friend. And so I'm hoping that Israel can stand fast. I'm hoping that other Middle Eastern countries will actually come to their senses and at least put Israel in a box over there in their own borders, where the borders were supposed to be the 1948 borders, and and reject this greater Israel project. And one of my questions is, because I know you was a staunch Trump supporter. I was. Most everybody watching this show was a staunch Trump supporter. Do you now feel that Trump, especially this second time, is he the Trojan horse?
Yes, 100%. And I can elaborate on that in 1 second. I just want to, on the note of Israel and war, I personally am of the belief the only justified war that the United States of America could fight at this point would be blasting Israel off the face of the earth. And it's a damn shame that Israel is able to hold this country and the entire world hostage with our own nuclear weapons, with the Samson option that was made possible when they were allowed to steal our nuclear weapons, our nuclear technology, and our uranium by our own traitorous government. It's just it's like the only war I can possibly think of that would benefit this country is to remove the country that killed John F. Kennedy, that attacked the USS Liberty, that's responsible for 9/11, that's responsible for decades of American suffering in the Middle East. And it's, you mentioned Iran, and Iran is really, they're standing as the only check to Israel at this point. And they're, Crystal Ball, who actually, I think she's a Virginia girl. I think that she's from King George, of all places. But Crystal Ball, had a post up, and she said, Iran's ability to check Israel's rogue barbarism is precisely the reason why the Israelis are so committed to its destruction. And she's 100% right. Iran is the only, they're doing what America should be doing. Iran is the only country in the world that's willing to stand up to these people, and they're not taking it even in an offensive manner. Iran came under attack, and
Iran has been defensive posture, and they are still. Well, I guess they went a little offensive tonight. I guess they hit the Ramat David Air Force Base near Nazareth today with some hypersonic missiles. Iran has some arsenals that we don't know about. I believe, and I've heard recently, that they do have a nuke, and I'm not mad at them because a nuke is a deterrent. I believe that. They said the same thing about North Korea. Or if they get a nuke, he's going to use it. He's crazy, and they've only used it as a deterrent for people not to fuck with them. And I think that that's the same thing that Iran would do to put Israel, anybody in check that wants to continue to attack them. People say, oh, you're a traitor. Well, you need to go back to 1953 and see what we did with Iran and understand we gave, Iraq chemical weapons to use against Iran to kill. So it's a big history of why Iran hates the United States, and I can't much blame them. Being, if I was a Persian, I would probably hate the United States too. After what we've put them through, but Crystal is 100% right, I think, and I've said the same thing, that I mean, Iran has been preparing for this scenario. They say, oh, well, Iran has been attacking the United States for 47 years. Well, that's really bullshit. Iran has been preparing for this scenario for the past 47 years. And right now, I would consider it a stalemate against two, or at least one superpower, and another one that's right on their doorstep, because Iran has fought this to the stalemate in a defensive posture. They haven't even went on the offense yet, because I do believe if they ever went on the offense, I believe that one, they would destroy Israel, or two, Israel would have to break out their Samson option like they've, threatened, before, as far as with the use of nuclear weapons. And I don't think the United States will want to go down that road. And for everyone in the chat, in the Rumble chat, I put up the call line. If you want to hit that, we're gonna try to call line while we got Frankie in here. Frankie being here for a little bit more. If you guys want to call in, and I'll see if we could get some calls in for Frankie, man. But one of the questions, especially Frankie, is now, what are these landowners? What is the people? What are their ability to fight back, man? Do they have the legal resources? I know these people, they have billions of dollars, they have lawyers, but what can the people do to fight back, man, for their land? With the government and with these these $1 billion billionaires there's wanting to put in these data centers. What can we do?
Well, I think the eminent domain aspect of this is not to be a negative Nancy here, but is the scariest aspect as far as personal property goes, because there's a certain case from years back that I always think of with stuff like this, where there was a set of power lines that was to be run through an area where the actor Robert Duvall lived, up in the plains, up in that Fauquier, Loudoun County area. And it was going to diminish his land value. And so Robert Duvall, the actor, led this one-man crusade, and I guess he got some of his extremely wealthy neighbors involved. And they were able to get these power lines moved, and they ended up costing more, subsidized by the taxpayers, and they ended up going across other people's land like 30 miles to the south in a working class, middle class, more rural area. And they were just able to steamroll these people. And so to a certain extent, I think that these corporations and government are going to do what they want as long as they're allowed to do what they want. And I don't say that and to be like cute, or to be like to make some kind of veiled call to violence here. It's to say like, this is one of these things where it is the only answer here is we genuinely be out in physical force. Like, people have to physically show up at these county board of supervisors meeting, and these planning commission meetings, and these zoning commission meetings. And these people need to be afraid of the citizenry of their county. And it's when the people fear the government, there's tyranny. When the government fears the people, there's liberty. And it's these people have to live in these communities, and they should be afraid, as in they shouldn't be able to go to the grocery store in peace.
They shouldn't be able to walk the streets. They shouldn't be able to come outside. They should not be able to come out of their door without the fear of the people in them for voting, and allowing these things to come into their city.
Yes, the people. I mean, it's you see these people out in public, and they should be hey, everybody, do you know who this is? And just there you go. Just blast them. Everybody in town should just start blasting them. But really, it's show up to the meetings, and they hold these meetings in these tiny little venues, and they try to churn away as many people as possible and make it as short notice, as last minute as possible. But it's like, it's just, you remember back in 2020 with the Second Amendment sanctuary movement in Virginia.
Right, yeah, Virginia Beach. Yeah. That's where that's where, I gave my famous speech, because it went viral all over the world. But and that's why I decided to run for Congress right there in Virginia Beach, when we had the sanctuary thing, about the Second Amendment, right?
Yeah, and that entire process was driven by people actually showing up to board meetings, showing up to local government meetings, and making their presence there. Hey, we're here, we're watching what the board, because I think there still is that aspect of like, I have to live among these people to some extent with some of these local governments. Now, there are counties, of course, especially where all this went in early, like Culpeper County. There's been massive, widespread rumors, all over town of members of the Board of Supervisors getting kickbacks. Wouldn't doubt that for a minute. Botetourt County, another area where some very curious events have taken place. Like, for instance, they approve a massive Google data center site, and the county itself moves its government offices to the very same place where they're going to be building data centers and where they're bringing in other corporations and other industrial. So it's like these people are in bed. These are local governments that are in bed with multinational corporations and with big tech corporations and with private equity funds. And so my answer as far as the people, what can you do? It's you physically have to confront them in person. And we know who you are. We know what you're about, and we know what the hell you're doing. And we're not leaving. Like, it's those people in New Jersey, and it sounds like trivial, or it sounds like, that's how you think government works in third grade. And I probably would have said that to myself, not long ago. But I'm seeing this happen. And people in New Jersey turned a data center out of their town. People in Oregon turned a data center out of their town. Now, what's stopping them from going and picking up somewhere else and building there? I mean, only the people in that
Only
town.
the people in that town, right?
Yeah, it's got to be a national hostile environment. I mean, and this is something that's like this is a unifying issue, I think, across political beliefs, this is a prime example of we need to all fight them, not each other. This is fight upwards.
Yeah. Yeah, and I said on my show last week, my opening line last week was between, Democrat and Republican citizens, we need to stop fighting each other because the fight is not within us. It's us against them. It's the 99% versus the 1%, in my book. And the 99%, there's more of us. Guess what? There's more of us than it is them, and we need to start acting like it. If we don't want these things in our cities and our towns, then like they did in New Jersey, we need to stand up. Everyone needs to stand and go and be like, no, we're not having it. We're not doing it. And guess what? We're going to be here. We're not going to let you do it. And if some reason you want to try to force us, then I guess one thing is force will meet with force. If it really came down to that. Hopefully it would never come down to that, because who would want to work in an environment in a data center, even though they won't even have that many people there at that point, but who will still want to work in that environment knowing that, hey, their life might truly be in danger because these people really don't want us here, so it's just one of those situations, man, where, before they get embedded deeply, the people need to stand up and, force them out.
Yeah, every single day that the 13 employees of the data center pull up, to the data center complex, at the very least, they should know that they're hated by everyone in, a 15-mile radius. But I'm glad that you brought up the actual employees here, because so prime example, Danville, Virginia. Now, there's a massive data center going in at the Southern Virginia mega site in Pittsylvania County, outside of Danville. Now, to the Danville City Council, they are really all up in a tizzy about this, because I guess they feel like they're missing out because the county's getting in on this big data center deal and they've gotten snubbed. And so now they're attempting to rezone land within the city limits. They have certain parcels in mind that the city wants to rezone, and then try to attract a data center developer to buy that land from the city and then build a data center on. And while at the same time, they're also adjusting their tax programs so that now they'll raise the taxes on data centers. It's not to make it so that it's more prohibitive for a data center to come in. It's just to make it so that the city gets more money when the data center comes in, so that the city government lines their pockets more when the data center comes. They want to move from a 1.25 or a 1.5% tax to somewhere around a 4%, which would put them more in line with the surrounding areas. They want to make sure that they squeeze every penny out of it. And now, as people in the city, which anyone that knows anything about Danville, is they've tried to placate the population with a casino, but that was one time a manufacturing boom town, one of the best places to live in Virginia, if not in the United States, along with Martinsville, right down the road. And those are two places that have been completely hollowed out. The manufacturing viewing industry sucked out of them. You know, before Breitbart was calling you a Chinese propagandist if you opposed data centers, they actually did an on-the-ground report in Danville, and it was called Left for Dead in Danville, and it was all about how this all-American city had been totally destroyed by the removal of manufacturing. And so now the city government there, these people who have been ravaged, and now you're what, 2 generations really into the removal of the industrial base. And now they're telling the people of the city, hey, this data center is going to bring in all kinds of jobs. No, it's
No,
not.
it's not.
It's not going to bring in all kinds of jobs. And even the construction isn't going to bring in all kinds of jobs. These are nomadic crews that are going all around the country and building these data centers. And, you know, they're not even American citizens. The sheriff of Culpeper County is on record in a public Facebook post saying that when Culpeper County sheriff's deputies were running transportation enforcement outside of data center construction sites, they were finding that the data center, that the sites were being fulfilled, that all their orders were being fulfilled, and the junk was being hauled out, and everything was being brought in by illegals, and no CDLs, let alone a driver's license, no citizenship. So these, and the construction crews, obviously chocked full of illegals. They've got illegals driving tractor trailers full of construction materials, and probably packed full of laborers who are illegal being dropped off on these sites. But I mean, the sheriff of
Right.
Culpeper County confirms these places are being built by illegals. They're not providing jobs
Not
for
American
American
workers.
citizens.
Not American
Yep.
workers for sure.
And then in the places where they are, and in these, there's some examples where they'll try to say, you know, oh, that, you know, this is a union job or whatever. Okay, great. This is a nomadic crew that you have hand selected, that has gone, and you've held as your propaganda piece. And this one nomadic crew of American citizens who, if you ask me, are traitors, because they're
Right.
building their own children's digital concentration camp. And they're, you know, for every one of those crews, there's 10 crews that are foreigners. There's 10 crews of nomadic illegals going around this country. I mean, and it's the same with anything that's being built, you know. So why would data centers be any different?
Right. I agree 100%, man. It's just crazy, you know, that people actually buying off on this. They're selling their, like you say, their children, their grandchildren's future, you know, to digital slavery and down the road. Because, you know, one thing that Elon Musk talked about is that also, you know, and when someone like Elon Musk talks, I listen because he has so much money, you know, because he can buy anything he want. And people like President Trump and these other people, they, you know, suck off of his tit. And so when he says that America is going to be on a what do you say, a universal high income, you know, from the government or whatever, you know, no jobs, you know, that, you know, you get it takes you back to that, you know, World Economic Forum thing, that you will own nothing and be happy, right? This is what all of this is, you know. Just because Klaus Schwab, you know, went to the background, they're still building this digital cage around us, and it just, you know, upsets me so much that people will battle someone like you, will battle someone like me, when we're just trying to protect our sovereignty and protect our way of life for us and our children, our grandchildren. You know, that they're just, you know, they want to call us sellouts, and that, you know, they are the ones that are the traitors, they are the sellouts, because, and they can't seems to that they can't see it. You know, like this one girl or lady, I don't really know her, but I guess she followed me and everything. And she says that um what did she say, fallen, that I've fallen because I no longer, you know, I guess support President Trump, you know. And she said, you fallen. And someone asked her, you know, fallen from where? And the chick says spiritually. And I'm like, what, like Trump is God or something, right? She said, the actual said that I've fallen spiritually, and the only thing that it could be is that because I don't support President Trump anymore, because I follow God and Jesus. Those are my only two saviors. Those are the only two people I follow completely, not man. So you must mean because I don't follow Trump. These people actually feel that Trump is God.
Yeah, they seem to. I mean, geez, you see these, have you seen these psychos that he's been surrounded with, like Paula White, who are, you know,
Oh
when I
gosh,
walk on
yes.
White House ground, that becomes God's ground. I mean, these people are
They're
are
psychos, man.
psychotics. And I do think that there is some kind, I mean, it's really, you don't even think. They tell us this themselves. There's that whole contingent, and I can't think of exactly what they call themselves, of crazed Jews who refer to Trump as the king of Jerusalem or something. They've given him this title as if he's some kind of Jewish demigod and he's some kind of special avowed figure within Judaism. And then you see these Christian Zionists, or they call themselves Christians, these Zionists, they view Trump now as some kind of gateway into this Christian Zionist realm of the Third Temple. It's sick. I mean, it's sick. And you, like John Hagee will get up on a stage and say that Trump has been anointed by God to lead America to paving the way for Israel to build the Third Temple and usher in. I mean, they're ushering in, when these Jews say they're ushering in the Messiah, they're ushering in the Antichrist. The Messiah already came and they killed him, or at least the people that Polish Benjamin Netanyahu claims to be descended from killed him. And so, I mean, when you talk about ushering in the Messiah, it's the Messiah is already here. So it's that alone is crazy on its face. You have to. I really came to the conclusion that to support Israel, you have to reject the divinity of Jesus Christ. But that's a wide discussion. But I do think that these people, yes, that there are psychotic Israel worshiping nutcases who are worshiping Trump as some kind of deity. I don't know if they think he's a prophet, or he's some kind of messianic figure, or what. But they're obviously, they think they can channel some kind of Christian Zionist Talmudic dark magic through the guy, and it's sick. And they have spun an entire, you prove yourself a loyal follower of Jesus only if you support Trump's political movement, only if you support Israel. And it's a spiritual sickness.
Yeah, I'm gonna play this real quick that you mentioned that. I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna try it anyway. Hold on.
My opinion, I'm right now at 99% in Israel. I could run for prime minister, so maybe after I do this, I'll go to Israel, run for prime minister. I had a poll this morning. I'm 99%, so that's good. But my opinion, I'm right now at 99% in Israel. I could run.
But anyway, what that is.
So maybe after I do
I
this,
think I've been being jacked up over here by freaking Starlink or something. So so I'm
right now
trying to put this up.
At 99% in Israel. I could run for prime minister. So maybe after I do this, I'll go to Israel.
This plays choppy. But anyway, that's Trump saying. Okay, that's Trump saying that Israel, he can go and run for the prime minister, and he probably after this he's going to go and run for the prime minister of Israel. What president says that of the United States? Is that just not a treasonous statement within itself? You're the president of the United States. You say, "Oh, I'm 99% in favor in Israel, so I'll probably just go over there and run for prime minister." That should have been enough for articles of impeachment right there, even though he won't get impeached because the Senate is scared of him. But who does that, man?
Yeah, an Israeli agent, right? And that's kind of goes back to the what you mentioned earlier, the Trojan horse. And I've at this point in kind of 2020 hindsight, like looking back, I think from the very beginning Trump was a Trojan horse. I find it hard to believe that he was anything but that from the very beginning. And it was hard for me to come to that point because it's like, hey, I had so many great memories. It's like it's kind of like that meme. We made so many friends along the way or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, this whole thing was a psyop and a Trojan horse, but made a lot of good friends along the way. And it's like that's really kind of how it feels looking back. It's like, right. all of this was, now that we are here where we are, there was such a groundswell of populist momentum in this country going into 2016, but it didn't have a figurehead. It didn't have somebody to put a label on it or to steer it in a direction.
Right.
And then Trump became that, and he became that figurehead. And it seemed organic at the time, or it seemed right at the time, and it seemed like it was anti-establishment at the time. But now, in retrospect, I view this as, Trump was sent in from the very beginning to control the populist uprising in this country. And, you know, when he gets on stage with Miriam Adelson and says, give me $250 million more and figure out a way for me to run for a third term and all, you know, I'll get you even more territory. It's, you know, this is, I think the veil is totally off now. And
and you know the bad part about that is that people are actually said that they would actually vote. I mean, and these are supposed to be constitutionalists. These are supposed to be people that, you know, support and defend the Constitution and understand what America is for and America is about and the way America is built, saying that they would actually vote for him for a third term. I'm like, how can you even say that? How can you say that you believe in the Constitution, you support the Constitution, and you are America first when you even to fix your mouth to say something, you know, like that, whether you like the guy or not. But if you support him, fine. But our Constitution is clear. Our laws are clear, you know. But, you know, like you say, we have people like Mark Levin, these people that want to do you know, convention of the states. And I'm totally against the convention of the states because you can't trust these people. You can't trust these maniacs and these people that, you know, that were, you know, that you think are conservative, that you think are America first. I mean, I wouldn't trust Laura Loomer with freaking rewriting the Constitution of the United States. I wouldn't trust Mark Levin. I wouldn't trust any of these people, all of these dual citizens that we have in Congress that in my you know judgment is truly illegal. That should have never happened. That should never happen. There should be laws against that. But yet here we are, and we are definitely. Now I said this. I mean, and you've been at, you know, some of my rallies when I ran for Congress. You know, I said this in 2022, and it's tenfold now. We are definitely in the fight for the very survival of our lives in this country the way we know it now.
Yes, 100%. And it's in every single day at this point. You know, we like, I mean, a 24-hour event cycle now is like a freaking week. You know, it's just things move so quickly, things happen so fast, and information moves so fast that people's views and become informed so quickly. It's things are just it every single day it becomes a more intense fight, it becomes a more consequential fight, like section 224, like the entire data center conversation became a national conversation, what, like a month ago? I mean, we've been seeing this in Virginia for a long time, but it really hit the national news headlines a month and a half ago, especially with that Kevin O'Leary story. And then as soon as that happens, it's up section 224, merge it all with Israel. It's just it's just back to back, just bam, bam. It's constant raising of the stakes and raising of the stakes. And I mean, it's like, I really think it only stops when it's the entire government is brought to a screeching halt, like genuinely brought to heel. Nothing moves anymore.
Yeah, I believe so.
That's you know, we need a guy that goes in and is a true wrecking ball. And this is what I know you were like, you would have been in Congress, Jerome. And this is Jarome Bell for anyone out there. Jarome Bell was the only congressional candidate that I ever 100% believed in and backed. There's even, you know, I like Thomas Massey. You mentioned the satellites earlier. He really alarmed me on a podcast recently when he said, we don't even need to build data centers on the land. They just want to tear up land and ruin America. We could put them all in satellites. And I don't want the damn AI surveillance state in satellites. I don't want it on land. I don't want it at all. All of these people have something like very wrong with them, or something that gives me serious trepidation with them. And it's, you know, so the Jarome Bell campaign, this was the only congressional campaign that I've ever been 100% in alignment with. And we need that mission needs to be exacted hundreds of times all over this country, to where we have an army of people who are ready to go into Congress and be a wrecking ball. And I honestly think that a government shutdown, a true government shutdown, it could be so destructive that, I mean, a massive proportion of the government could just be slashed overnight at some point, and you say, just beat it. I mean, just if we can somehow seize control of enough of, I don't know, a dozen seats in Congress to create a massive obstruction of the vote on the
Right.
floor and filibuster into oblivion, you can't cast the votes to pass the ballot. I mean, it'd be a marathon effort, but we're getting up into like desperate times here.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Thank you for saying that too. I appreciate that.
Oh yeah,
But
bro.
I mean, but yeah, man, we need, and this is why they spent 7 million against me, right? This is why
Yeah.
they spent to keep me out, to keep people like me out, because they knew, I mean, from the beginning, no, I'm not voting for Kevin McCarthy. So they know, oh, this guy's gonna be trouble, So I was the first casualty. People think, okay, it was MTG, it was Mass, Jerome Bell not going to Congress was the first casualty
That's
of
right.
the uniparty going after a candidate to keep them out of Congress, because it was the uniparty. Kevin McCarthy in one day dropped $450,000 against me into Keegan's campaign. So there you go, right there, and it was a $7 million hit on both sides. So they don't want anyone that's going to come and upset their apple cart, turn over their apple cart, because all of them are getting paid. All of them are fleecing. You're going to see, I mean, what you see now. You got the Paulina Lunas, you got all these other people that want to come out and they say this and that. They're all getting paid. They're just, paid opposition. They're just paid opposition. They're not going on the floor with the real, thing that needs to be done. Right now, I think, Ro Khanna, for some reason, is just one of those dudes, and like you say, Massey, and had the thing with the satellites thing, but he's been one of those dudes, and they go after those people. And the American people need to wake up. And yes, the elections are rigged. Yes, I don't know if voting is even feasible anymore to correct it. If you think about Frederick Douglass, I mentioned that earlier. But at some point, the American people are going to have to wake up and take back this country and put people into office the proper way that's going to represent what we need and do the things that we need to do in this country. And the opposition knows it. The Uniparty knows it. The Republican elite knows it. The Democrat elite know that if people, like me, like myself, and others like me would ever walk into those halls, that a whole bunch of shit would stop.
Yeah, it would. And there was that town in Tennessee after World War II where a bunch of townspeople, I think most of them were World War II veterans, basically formed a local militia and conducted the elections, conducted free and fair elections after a rigged election process that the local establishment was trying to keep themselves in charge with. So these things have happened on smaller scales, throughout this country's history. And we're tooled with the Second Amendment because at some point, and you mentioned Frederick Douglass, so yeah, the ballot box at some point, if the ballot box no longer works, well, there's a reason that the Second Amendment is the Second Amendment, because that the cartridge box is at the Second Amendment. It backs up the First Amendment. Like it's they go hand in hand. They go side by side for a reason. And it's the American people are 100% within their rights to bear arms in public and to show out in public in massive shows of force and let the government know we're here and we're watching you, and we're American citizens acting well within our constitutional rights the day before the election, or the day the votes are being tallied, or the day that the swearing in is happening, or whatever. But I mean, actually, push is about to come to shove in Virginia as far as that goes. I mean, there is open carry going to be actually banned in Virginia or not? It's been banned by statute, and now are they going to enforce it? It's every which way you look. It's a massive across the board civil liberties assault. I think it's there's a lot playing in to just the total police state installation at this point. And it'll obviously be backed up by AI. But I think gun control figures into this. I think rigged elections figure into this. The extended voting process so that nobody believes in our elections in the first place, and it gives this whole wide national attitude of like, and it's not an unfounded attitude of like, what the hell can we even do? We're not voting our way out of this type of thing. There's been there's been a big demoralization campaign, as at the same time we've been, efforts to disarm us. It's we've got to organize among ourselves. We've been fractured. We've been fractured
Mhm.
for far too long, and we're not going to be able to withstand, I don't think, being fractured much longer.
Yeah, we can't. I mentioned the false left-right paradigm last week, and that's what we've been in. We've been manipulated and brainwashed by this false left-right paradigm to keep us divided, and that's why I said we have to stop fighting amongst ourselves: Republicans, Democrats, Americans that see the bullshit, the 99% of the Americans that's suffering, and the 1% that's not, because that's basically all it comes down to is us versus them. And at some point it's going to clash. It has to, and it will at some point. It's just at what point will that be? What's going to be that red line per se? What's going to be that hill that all Americans are willing to die on? What is that going to be? Is it going to be 224 with Israel? Is it going to be these data centers in the surveillance state? Is it going to be when they go and move everything to digital currency and wipe out your bank account and give you a card and want to turn it on? I mean, where is it going to be? At what point? But there will be a point at some time. Like I said, I told someone that, always come at me. I'm like, you know what? You guys want to shoot the messenger, but at some point the messengers are going to be gone. The messengers are going to be gone. And once the messengers are gone, for whatever reason, because we've been taken off the playing board, or either we've taken ourselves off the playing board for our safety, our own safety, once the messengers are gone, you guys are just going to be left with the shit that's going to be take place, and you're going to be on your own. So, at this point, why we still have and able to do these type shows and to message and put this information out to the people. Hopefully the people are listening, and hopefully they're talking to their neighbors, hopefully they're talking to their friends and their family, about what needs to take place and transpire to gain our sovereignty and our freedom back from not only a foreign country but our own government.
Yeah, I think we need to be organizing at a local level, as in, like, we need families, we need neighborhoods, we need towns, like, actually forming. Somebody commented in my comment section the other day, and I've been thinking about this a lot. Like, we need to bring back the Minutemen, and we really do, and I guess it's the same concept as a militia, but Minutemen is a cool American term for it, and it's like we really, that concept has got to come back, and not just for armed revolt, but as in, like, we need people that are going to show up at these board meetings, at a minute's notice. Like, we need in this town, in town A, in town B, in town C, like a group of people who are like, oh yeah, they're scheduled a last minute zoning meeting to ram through the data center. Can we get 15 people out to the board meeting? Like, we've got to take all means at our disposal, like you said, while we still can, because at some point we will be kicked offline. We all will be kicked offline the longer this goes on. And Theo Vaughn said something that I thought was like I really stuck with me on his podcast the other day. He said he feels compelled to speak out now, because if we don't speak out now, our children aren't going to be able to speak out in the future. And it's like that. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, like a lot of like pseudo intellectual liberal types loved to say things about that. Like, if we don't speak out for gay rights now, all of these neocons in the Bush administration are going to ban homosexuality, and it'll be Nazi Germany all over again. And it's like, that was just all theater kids who were out of control. And this is real. And it's no, if we don't speak out now, our children are genuinely not going to be able to speak out, because Palantir's own game plan is every decision, everything is made by a machine. Every law is made by a machine. Every thought is gone through by a machine before it's put out for public consumption. What you say, think, and do, and what you're going to do, they're all tabulated in your Palantir profile, so that all the outcomes of everything are accounted for before you even step outside of your house. I mean, it really is. it's a hellscape, you know, in the making. It's like that old movie, The Minority Report, where they were
Yeah, I was just about to say that,
current.
man. You know, you know, you mentioned that, and you know, I said that all the time, man. I'm like, you know, you guys remember that movie, The Minority Report? That shit was
Yeah.
so real. I mean, it was real. You know, Tom Cruise up here doing these things. You know, the thought police before they do the crime. It's here. I mean, guys, you know, I tell people all the time that most movies are real. They have just a little bit of fiction in there just to make it not true, right? But the majority of a movie is real. That report shit was real, and it's here. I mean, they're doing it now. They're talking about it now. It's right in our face. And if you haven't seen it because you're too young adult or just haven't seen it, go back and watch it, The Minority Report, and look at it and be like, well, damn, here we are.
Yep. Yeah, it's predictive programming, you know, and you can go back and there was that episode of the X-Files where they had an entire, you know, coronavirus scamdemic, and they cured it with hydroxychloroquine, and you know there was another
Right.
X-Files disclosure, predictive programming, where they have hantavirus
Right.
coinciding with alien life form disclosures. It's ridiculous the amount of things that have been thrown out there under the guise of science fiction, and that are then actually, you know, that then actually come true. But I think the AI surveillance state is by far the most detailed predictive programming that they've gone through with these movies, and it's all real. You know, it's all coming to fruition now. And you know, Palantir, Peter Thiel, for instance, like he's fleeing the country. He's going to Argentina,
He's
and
going to
he's taking
Argentina.
his
Yeah, yeah.
children. Yeah, he's taking his test tube babies, and he's enrolled them in school in Argentina, because these people know what's coming to this
What's
place.
coming?
Like, they know that one way or the other, it's either they're not safe or the country itself is not safe. And you mentioned the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab, and Larry Fink is now in charge of the World Economic Forum. Like, it's
Right.
as if it couldn't get any worse than Klaus Schwab. When he retired, Larry Fink assumes control. And they keep on saying that Larry Fink is in some kind of interim role, but he just won't get the hell out of the way. It doesn't seem like that interim of a role. And the World Economic Forum was, you know, the catalyst to wake so many people up to this. You'll eat bugs and you'll like it. You'll own nothing and you'll like it. You'll live in a coffin-sized apartment hooked up to your virtual reality headset and you'll like it. And that's, I mean, that's really where we are. I mean, and the children are being read into this right now
Yeah.
as we speak. I mean, not just the humanoid robots in classrooms, but the integration of VR headsets into
Yeah.
classrooms,
Right.
where you don't even get to go on a field trip anymore. You're going
Just
on a
put on the
data center
headset.
powered
Yeah.
field trip
Yeah.
on your headset.
On the goggles. Just put on the goggles and let's go on a field trip. Yeah, man. It's just all. I mean, it's all, like I say, coming to fruition, and then you think back. I mean, because like I say, you know, I said 1999, I left the Matrix, right? You know, you go back and look at the movie The Matrix. You know, I unplugged in '99, so I've been seeing this for a long, long time, and once you see it, you can't unsee it, right? Once you I call it deprogram yourself, because you really have to deprogram. You have to unplug, and you have to, you know, really see what's going on, and release the brainwashing, and unplug from the system to see it. But once you do, you see everybody else that's still plugged in, and it's amazing. It's amazing to see how many people are still plugged into the system, that still believes in the system, that still believe in that. Oh, there's nothing wrong, right? But
Yeah.
there's so much wrong with what's going on right now, and and you know, like say you say somebody like Trump, or people that support Trump that attack us, is like, why can't you see this? You know, why can't you see what this guy is doing? Hey, I was blinded for a minute. Okay, hey, he got me. He got me, right? You know, I admit it. He got me. You know, but now, oh hell no, motherfucker. We're not going down this road, and I'm not gonna let you go down this road without at least me saying something about it. With me at least, you know, going on record that, you know, no, I'm standing up against this, and we have to stand up against this, because if we don't, you know, when we're just doomed, like you said, like Elon Musk said, there'll be 100 billion robots just walking around the United States, you know, and all of us are be in cages somewhere or dead or whatever, you know. But like you say, man, these people like, you know, Peter Thiel, they're leaving. They're leaving. They know that the people are pissed off, and you know, and they have the means to escape, and they're gonna leave us here with the shit. And this is what they do. We're talking about Kushner and Ivanka, going to buy the island, Cezanne, and things like that. These people, I think Trump's building the bunker in D.C. for the future president or for him. And I mean, look at look at what these people are doing and where they are going, and they are trying to secure themselves. I mean, Zuckerberg got a big bunker in Hawaii. These people are securing themselves for a reason, right? And yet these people still believe in them. It's just amazing to me.
Yeah, they are. And Larry Ellison, another guy, he's got bunkers all over the world. And that White House bunker underneath the ballroom, now they're saying it's going to be twice as big as it ever was going to be before. The ballroom itself plus the bunker. The bunker is going to have its own data center in it, at least one data center, probably more. It's going to have research labs for presumably for biological warfare purposes. They're going to have Israeli offices in there. They're going to have like the Secret Service is getting some kind of underground lair. And in the statement announcing it, they say that it's a much needed upgrade or a much deserved upgrade because of all their great work. If we're to believe the narratives that these people feed us, the Secret Service is so incompetent that assassins have gotten within shooting distance of Donald Trump. How many times? Like 4 times, 5 times? I mean,
Right.
I'm like losing count
Losing
here.
count.
And now they're gonna get an underground lair under the new ballroom for $400 million. But that is Third Temple DC edition stuff there. There's a lot of dark components to that project. But
Yeah.
they're building a data center, biological research. I mean, it's like hell underneath that place. It really is. And I think it's kind of emblematic of the drone. There's a drone port. How could I forget the drone port? A drone port on top of it. It's just kind of emblematic of what this entire administration has been. They sell it to you as one thing. They sell it to you as a ballroom, which, hey, by the time that idea came around anyways, I was already gone because we'd been rug pulled on mass deportations from the start. But they sold it to people as a ballroom. And then, well, it turns out it's actually an underground bunker for Israel and for data centers and for, post-apocalyptic warfare. So it's just, it's more of this, hey, we're inviting in a foreign country. We're inviting in hell into the United States. I mean, these people have really gone. I think they've, in a lot of ways, they even know that they've crossed the Rubicon and there's just no going back now. They're going to be as up in our faces, as aggressive as possible until it breaks one way or the other. And somebody pointed out to me the other day too. Remember Agenda 21? Well, now it's Agenda 2030, and it's they delayed that. And so all of this AI infrastructure is being built with an eye toward 2030. And they're not just plugging that in and saying, hey, we're doing this in accordance with 2030. When you look in to a lot of these data center projects, they say this project itself will be completed by 2030.
By 2030,
so
right.
There's a target point there.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%, man. So, it's it's just one of those things, man, where it's scary, but you can't fear it. You just have to go fight it. You have to battle it because that's the only way, we as humans are going to survive in this country. It's going to survive for, if, like I said, I think about my kids and my grandson. So, I definitely go out with the fight if I have to, and it is what it is. I know other Americans are too. So, but dude, thank you, man, for coming in. Everybody in the chat.
Yeah, bro. Thanks for having me,
man. It's always good. It's always good to have you on, man. Always good to, get your insight on stuff. I know you're busy now with the base report. Tell everybody how they can find you, though, Frankie.
Yeah, I'm over on X at Real Stocks. I'm on Instagram now at Real Stocks _TBR. Posting some clips and stuff up over there. I actually am recommending everybody hop on Instagram simply because there's an entirely different set of information that you're getting outside of that X algorithm. So X is still like where I post the majority of my stuff, and I think it's more of the news-oriented platform. But Instagram, especially on the data center fight, there's a lot of information coming through there because more of your run-of-the-mill type of people who just have access to Facebook, they see something interesting and they take a video and they post it to Instagram, or they post it to Facebook and it cross-posts to Instagram, and a lot of on-the-ground information comes out of there. So I recommend people using Instagram, and I was kind of a newcomer to it myself. But at Real Stocks on X, at Real Stocks _TBR on Instagram, and Stu Peters Network. Of course, the Base Report Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We were starting at 7, but we go a little bit longer, so the show's usually a little bit over an hour. So we start around 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and then I hop in most nights of the week for about a 3-minute segment on the Stu Peters Show, Base Report segment over there, where we hit on some shorter form stories and some stuff like that. But that's where I'm at. But thanks, Jarome, for bringing me on, dude. I always appreciate it. Always love getting to roll back and forth with you, man. It's great to talk to you.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And one thing, man, you need to come over to pickaxe.com and set up over there too. It's
To Pickaxe, hell yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Let's do it.
Pickaxe.com. That's will be one of the things, and it's an alternative to X too, because like I say, get rid of that algorithm, and and it's actually some free uncensored stuff over there, man. So we'll catch up with you.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, man. Yeah, check it out. Pickaxe.com. And everybody that's listening, go to pickaxe.com. Follow me over there on pickaxe.com. And Frankie Stocks will be over there at some point too, so you can come check us out. And all right, brother, we'll talk to you soon, man. Thanks, brother.
All right, bro. Have a good one.
Take care. Right. All right. Frankie had to bounce, go take care of his kid anyway. Hey, but there you go, man. Frankie Stocks. Always good. Always a wealth of knowledge. Frankie is. And so I guess we can't get the call-in thing to work. I'm going to have to check with Rumble and see what's going on. Got to be on the app, got to be on something, got to hit that link, be part of it. I don't know. Jamie, hit that link up in the thing, see if you can call in. I need somebody to call in. We got like 5 minutes left for the show. So I want to at least get one caller in here, try to. But there it is. I didn't get to the Iran segment tonight. I'm going to go and get caught up on Iran. I know that they hit Israel pretty hard, I think, today. I know Joe was telling me that they hit the air base over there. Over in Israel. So, it is what it is. Hey, I mean, that's just something that needs to be done with. It just, is what it is. And no, I must say that I do not believe that those people that are living in that state of Israel is at least hit the like button. There you go. Everybody hit the like button. Need live streams app? Is that what you need? Well, shoot. All right, got to download the app then to do it, I guess. All right, so anyway, everybody definitely, thank you, Jackie. Hit the like button. Hit the like button, share the show, share it out live, so we can actually get more viewership on this. And again, I am on my page here, Jarome Bell, at Rumble, and also on the Freedom First Network. It is airing live on the Freedom First Network for everyone else that don't follow my page. But you can follow both, and I appreciate you tuning in. I don't know what was going on with Getter tonight, but I'm going to check what's happening with Getter. Maybe Getter, blocked my feed over there. But I'm going to update that and make sure that we have Getter run. I know it was running last week, so it might just be an issue with Getter. So hopefully we'll be back to Getter next week. But I'm glad you all hopefully made it over here. Hopefully Nicole and Stephanie made it over, and the people from Getter made it over here. I know Jamie did. I see you made it over here from Getter, and that you guys were able to check the show out. If not, hey, you can check out the rerun, and I appreciate it. So I'll check you all out next week. Hope you guys stay safe and have a great week. We're going to end on something here. I don't know what we're going to end on. What y'all want to hear tonight? All right. I guess we'll just go out on, all right, because this is the way I feel tonight. We're going to go out on my boy Elton John tonight, some Philadelphia Freedom, because this is what we need in the country. We appreciate it. Hey, Nicole did make it. I'm glad you did. Palmieri. Nicole did make it. I'm glad. Frankie is awesome. Frankie is awesome. So I see you guys next Sunday. I'm going on vacation on the 23rd, so I probably won't have a show that Sunday after the 23rd. But y'all have a good week. I love y'all. Y'all stay safe. And we'll talk to you soon. Thank you all again. Later.
less I say, the more my work gets done. 'Cause I live and breathe this Philadelphia freedom. From the day that I was born, I waved the flag. Philadelphia freedom took me knee-high to a man. Yeah, give me a piece of my daddy never had. Well, Philadelphia freedom, shine on me. I love it, shine a light through the eyes of the one left behind. Shine the light, shine the light, shine the light, won't you shine the light? Philadelphia freedom, love. Yes, I do. If you choose to, you can live your life alone. Some people choose the city, some of them choose the good old family home. Others choose the good old family home. I like living easy without family ties. Silver whippoorwill of freedom sadly right between their eyes. 'Cause I live